Hello and welcome. My name is Nadine. I'm the owner of NG Platinum Homes. Today we're going to talk about the biggest interior design mistakes that you don't want to make when redoing your home. There's a few of these things on here that are maybe a little controversial, but we'll get into it. So number one, the first thing I want to talk about is not storing things that do need to be stored. Basically, the first thing I want to talk about is the kitchen. Right now, open shelving is a huge design element that a lot of people are using in their kitchen. And I think open shelving is great, but within reason. So I think using a little bit of open shelving is good, but if you really do a whole wall or basically your whole kitchen in open shelving, it could look a little bit cluttered. I don't know about you, but as a mom with kids, we have plastic cups, plastic plates, and all of those sort of things that I don't think I really want displayed out there. I think having a combination of a little bit of open shelving for maybe those special items that are really beautiful, plates, cups, glasses, and then actually using regular cabinets to hide those multicolored plastic cups that we all use for our kids is a great option. So you really want to consider that when redoing your kitchen. On that same note, soaps, utensils, they have some really pretty utensil holders out there that you can use to store those spatulas and big spoons, and those are great. And also for soap dispensers, you can get really nice soap dispensers too, so you don't have big bottles of soaps and things sitting out all over your counter. I'm one of those people that clutter on the counter in the kitchen really drives me crazy, so I always try to find ways to eliminate those things if possible. And I know a lot of us, there's certain appliances that are used on a daily basis, say the coffee maker or the toaster and things of that nature. And if you have something that you really need to keep out there because you don't want to keep pulling it in and out, that's fine. But nonstop storing your air fryer, your Instapot, and those sort of things on the countertop, you probably want to try to find somewhere to put those as so they're not out on the counter to really declutter your space. And especially if you do a kitchen renovation or if you have a really beautiful kitchen, you don't want to distract away from that beauty from having all kinds of small appliances all over the place. So something to think about when doing a renovation, if you're doing one, is to find storage for those items that you don't want to have all over the countertops. Because again, like I said, that's something that makes me a little bit crazy, and I'm sure for most people too, they don't like clutter in the kitchen. The other place I want to talk about not storing things properly is in the bathroom. And again, it's another one of those things that I hate, having things all over the countertops in the bathroom. So there's a few ways that you can store things that you use even on a daily basis and that will still keep your space looking beautiful and clutter-free. And one of those things is going to be implementing something that is not used as much, and in a lot of my renovations, clients want to remove those, but I still absolutely love them, and that's medicine cabinets, especially the medicine cabinets that are recessed into the wall to where the door is flush with the wall. Those will really keep away all of those things that you use even on a daily basis, your medications, your toothbrushes, your shavers, and all of those things to really keep your countertop clutter-free, and you don't have to look at it nonstop all day. And another thing that you can do if you're renovating a bathroom, or even if you're not renovating, you can actually add this later, is a countertop tower. And that will really give you a lot of storage for all of those things I mentioned. And you can even add electrical in those for shavers and hair dryers and things like that, so where you can store everything and put it away and you're not looking at it all over your counter. And for women, especially women that wear makeup, that could be a challenge sometimes too. Sometimes we have lots of things all over the counter and we don't really like that. There's great options out there for makeup storage containers that you can put on the counter. And yes, it's still on the countertop, but it's organized in a way to where it doesn't look like it's everywhere. So I think that's really something that you should look into. And you really also need to think about implementing your vanity to store a lot of things that you use on a daily basis even, and put them away so that way you have a clutter-free space. Number two, the next thing I want to talk about is one thing that is really a huge design mistake that I have seen a lot of people make, and that's picking your paint color first The reason why you don't want to do this is paint color that you're putting on your wall should really be the last thing that you choose, especially in the every interior designer knows. You really want to make sure that you choose your furniture and other things of that nature. And then from there, because those are the major purchases and the major things that you see in the room, make those cohesively with the paint that you choose later. So I know a lot of times a lot of people will say, I really love this wall color. And then basically what you have to do is then turn around and make sure that all of your furniture and pieces that you choose, and if it's in a bathroom or something like that, make sure that you're choosing tile and all of that matches the paint. And it should really be the opposite. You should choose the major parts of the room first, say your bedding, your bed, if it's in a bedroom, or if it's in a living room, you want to really make sure that you choose the right couch and things of that nature. And then from there, choose the paint color. So don't make the mistake of choosing paint color first and then furniture last. You should do it the opposite. Number 3, the next thing I want to talk about is hanging draperies at window height. And so a lot of times that in the past you would see that that's pretty much how things were done, is hanging your draperies or curtains right above the window. And you don't really want to do that. What you want to do is you want to elevate that curtain rod and make sure that your curtain rod and your draperies are hung all the way up to almost the ceiling. And what that's going to do for you is that's really going to draw the eye up, and it's going to make your room seem larger and wider, and that's the best option when it comes to that. Now, a lot of people might ask, well, how do I know how far to hang the curtain rod from the ceiling? And I think pretty much the rule of thumb is you want to make sure that that curtain rod is installed about 3 to 4 inches from the ceiling. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you enough space to hang the curtain rod. And especially if you have a phenol, which is the large end of the curtain rod. Right now, a lot of those really big, bulky ends of those curtain rods are really popular, and you want to just make sure that there's an allowance there. So rule of thumb, 3 to 4 inches from the ceiling, all the way to the floor for your curtains, and that's going to give you a beautiful space, and it's going to make your room seem a lot larger. Now, if you're purchasing curtains, say from a store, and you need to know what is the length that you need to buy, basically what you need to do is go ahead and measure that 3 to 4 inches from the ceiling, and once you install that curtain rod, measure from the curtain rod to the floor, and that's going to give you the inches that you need to purchase for the length of the curtain. I generally don't like to have the curtains hanging on the floor. I know sometimes people do that, but just basically sweeping the bottom of the floor is a great option for the right length of your curtain. Number 4, the biggest interior design mistake that you can make is your room does not have a focal point. So focal points in a room can be anything from a fireplace in a living room to the bedroom. You're going to want your bed to be the focal point. So if, say, in your living room, you don't have a nice fireplace as a focal point, you can make one, say with a large piece of artwork or a lamp or a nice chandelier. But basically what the focal point is in that room is what catches your eye as soon as that you walk in the room. And that focal point should be from eye level and up. So that way that is what catches your eye when you first walk in the room. And I see a lot of mistakes like that people make. They don't have a focal point and everything is kind of everywhere. But if you have that focal point in your room, it's going to, once you're designing the rest of the space, it's going to draw everything together and it's going to make a beautiful space. And number 5, the final thing that I see a lot of mistakes made when it comes to interior design is having too small of an area rug for your space. So say, speaking of a living room, I feel like an 8x10 area rug may seem quite large, but to me, that is still quite small for a room to be able to hold all of the items on that rug that you need to put. What you want to do is when you're measuring for an area rug, you want to arrange your furniture first and make sure that you put the furniture in a way and then take a tape measure from there and measure and make sure that you get the right size area rug for the space. And you want to make sure that it doesn't stop short of the couch. You want to make sure that the chairs are able to be placed on that area rug, so that way it all cohesively fits in the room beautifully and it doesn't look like it's too small for the room. And I have to admit that at one point I made that mistake once. A couple years ago had a flooding situation in my home for a freeze that was here in South Texas, and I was kind of in a panic rush mode to purchase a whole bunch of new things because pretty much all of my furniture was destroyed destroyed, and without actually sitting down and thinking about the size of the rug that I needed. I definitely made that mistake by ordering a rug that was too small. And when it was arriving, I thought, oh my goodness, this is not going to work. So it was a huge hoopla to where I had to return it and all of those things. So planning is very important when it comes to these design plans. So you want to make sure that you make the right choices. I hope these tips were helpful for you when it comes to designing your space. Until next time, keep designing your life, and I'll see you in the next one.